The little girl was only 8 years old when she disappeared from the downtown Seattle playground. Police searched for 72 hours. FBI got involved. Search dogs found nothing. The city was gripping with fear, and parents were keeping their children indoors. But there was one man who never stopped looking. A man everyone avoided on the streets. A man society had forgotten. A homeless veteran named Marcus Thompson would soon prove that heroes come from the most unlikely places. This is the story of how one man's refusal to give up would save a child's life and change an entire city's perspective on homelessness. Marcus Thompson, 54 years old. For the past 8 years, he'd been living on the streets of Seattle. His home was a cardboard box under the Interstate 5 overpass. His possessions fit in a single shopping cart. Most people crossing the street avoided eye contact with him. But Marcus wasn't always homeless. 20 years ago, he was Staff Sergeant Marcus Thompson, U.S. Army Special Forces. He served 3 tours in Afghanistan. He was a reconnaissance specialist, trained in tracking, survival, and search operations. He could read terrain like a book and find people others couldn't. Everything changed in 2008. An IED explosion during his final tour left him with severe PTSD and a traumatic brain injury. The nightmares, the flashbacks, the inability to sleep, it all became too much. He struggled with alcohol, lost his job, lost his apartment, and eventually lost everything. For 8 years, Marcus had been invisible to society. People saw him as just another homeless person. They didn't know about his military service, his specialized training, or the hero he used to be. He was just the guy they stepped around on their way to work. But Marcus still had his skills. Even after years on the streets, his tracking abilities remained sharp. He knew every alley, every abandoned building, every hiding spot in the city. He watched everything, noticed everything, remembered everything. October 15th, 2023, Wednesday afternoon, Westlake Park in downtown Seattle. 8-year-old Emma Rodriguez was playing on the swings while her mother, Maria, sat on a nearby bench, talking on her phone about work. At 3:47 p.m., Maria looked up. The swing was empty. Emma was gone. Within minutes, Maria was screaming for help. Park security arrived first, then Seattle police. They questioned everyone in the area. They checked the bathrooms, the nearby stores, the parking lots, nothing. Detective Sarah Kim took charge of the case. She interviewed Maria, reviewed security camera footage, and organized search teams. The cameras showed Emma playing on the swings at 3:45 p.m., but there was a blind spot near the park's north entrance where the cameras couldn't see. By 6 p.m., the FBI was involved. Agent Robert Chen brought in search dogs, helicopter units, and a massive ground search operation. They combed through Capitol Hill, Pioneer Square, and the waterfront. They found nothing. The media picked up the story. Emma's photo was on every news channel. Amber Alert, 8-year-old girl missing from Seattle Park. The entire city was searching for Emma Rodriguez. Marcus watched all of this from his usual spot under the overpass. He saw the police cars, the helicopters, the news vans. He heard about the missing girl on the radio someone had left behind. And something inside him stirred, something he hadn't felt in years. His military training kicked in. He started thinking like a soldier again. That night, while the official search teams rested, Marcus began his own investigation. He walked to Westlake Park at 11 p.m. when it was empty and quiet. Marcus examined the playground with military precision. He looked for things others might have missed. Near the north entrance, he found something interesting. Fresh tire tracks in the soft soil. The tread pattern was distinctive from a large van or truck. More importantly, he found small fabric fibers caught on a fence post near the tire tracks. The fibers were pink, the same color as the jacket Emma was wearing in the news photos. Marcus followed the tire tracks to the street. Based on their direction and depth, he determined the vehicle had headed north toward the industrial district. This was an area the police had searched, but Marcus knew it differently. He knew every abandoned warehouse, every hidden basement, every forgotten corner. For the next 2 days, Marcus searched methodically. He checked old shipping containers, abandoned construction sites, and derelict buildings. He moved like a ghost through the city, invisible to everyone but seeing everything. On Friday morning, Marcus heard something that made his blood run cold. He was checking an abandoned textile factory when he heard a faint sound from the basement. It was barely audible, but his trained ears caught it. A child crying. Marcus crept down the basement stairs. The sound was coming from behind a false wall. Through a crack in the wooden boards, he could see a small room. And there, huddled in the corner, was Emma Rodriguez. She was alive, but scared and hungry. Marcus could see she was unharmed, but traumatized. He also realized he wasn't alone in the building. He could hear footsteps upstairs. Someone was coming back. Marcus faced a crucial decision. He could call the police immediately, but that would take time. The kidnapper was upstairs and might flee or hurt Emma if he heard sirens. Marcus had to act fast. Using his Special Forces training, Marcus assessed the situation. There was one person upstairs. He could tell by the footstep pattern. The basement had two exits, the main stairs and a delivery chute that led to the alley. Marcus whispered through the crack in the wall to Emma, telling her to stay quiet and that he was there to help. Emma, terrified but desperate, nodded. Marcus moved silently upstairs. Through a window, he saw a man in his 40s, disheveled and nervous, pacing back and forth. The man kept looking out the window, clearly paranoid about being discovered. Marcus knew he had to neutralize the threat first. Using skills he hadn't used in years, he approached the man from behind. In one swift motion, he subdued the kidnapper, using a sleeper hold that rendered the man unconscious without causing permanent harm. Marcus quickly tied up the kidnapper with rope he found in the factory, then rushed back to the basement. He carefully broke through the false wall and pulled Emma to safety. Emma was weak but responsive. Marcus carried her up the stairs and immediately called 911 from the kidnapper's phone. Within 10 minutes, Seattle police, FBI, and ambulances surrounded the abandoned factory. Detective Kim and Agent Chen arrived to find Marcus sitting outside with Emma in his arms, while the kidnapper lay unconscious and tied up inside. The paramedics checked Emma immediately. She was dehydrated and scared but physically unharmed. As they prepared to take her to the hospital, Emma looked back at Marcus and whispered that the scary man was gone, and the nice man with the beard had saved her. When Maria Rodriguez arrived at the hospital, she broke down crying as she held her daughter. Emma kept talking about the nice man who found her, the man who promised everything would be okay. Detective Kim approached Marcus outside the hospital. She asked him how he found Emma when hundreds of trained professionals couldn't. Marcus explained his military background, his knowledge of the city's hidden places, and how he'd tracked the evidence others had missed. Agent Chen was amazed. He told Marcus that his tracking skills and tactical approach were textbook Special Forces operations. He asked Marcus why he'd never mentioned his military service during the investigation. Marcus simply said that nobody had asked a homeless man about his background. People saw what they expected to see. The kidnapper was identified as Stephen Walsh, a 43-year-old man with a history of mental illness and previous arrests. He had been planning the kidnapping for weeks, targeting children in downtown parks. The story exploded across national news. Homeless veteran saves missing child became headline news across the country. Marcus Thompson, who had been invisible for 8 years, suddenly found himself in the spotlight. The mayor of Seattle held a press conference, presenting Marcus with the city's highest civilian honor. Local veterans organizations reached out to offer support. The Seattle Police Department offered Marcus a position as a consultant for missing persons cases. But the most touching moment came when Maria Rodriguez spoke at the press conference. She said that Marcus wasn't just Emma's hero. He was proof that we should never judge people by their circumstances. She announced that her family would be establishing a foundation to help homeless veterans get the support they need. Local businesses started hiring homeless veterans. The city increased funding for veteran support programs. Marcus's story had sparked a movement of compassion and second chances. A local apartment complex offered Marcus free housing. A veterans organization helped him get treatment for his PTSD. After 8 years on the streets, Marcus was finally getting his life back. 6 months later, Marcus Thompson was no longer homeless. He was working as a consultant for the Seattle Police Department using his tracking skills to help solve missing person cases. He had become the city's unofficial guardian angel. Emma Rodriguez and her family visited Marcus regularly. Emma always called him Uncle Marcus and drew pictures of him as a superhero. Maria had kept her promise. The Rodriguez Foundation had helped over 200 homeless veterans get back on their feet. During a recent interview, Marcus reflected on how one moment can change everything. He said that finding Emma didn't just save her life, it saved his too. It reminded him that everyone has value, everyone has something to contribute, and everyone deserves a second chance. Marcus concluded by saying that heroes aren't born, they're made by the choices we make when others need us most. Sometimes the person society overlooks is the one who will save the day. Today, Marcus Thompson is living proof that it's never too late to be a hero, and Emma Rodriguez is living proof that heroes come from the most unexpected places. This story reminds us that we should never judge someone by their appearance or circumstances. The person sleeping on the street might be the one who saves your life. The person society has forgotten might be the one who remembers what truly matters. Heroes walk among us every day. We just need to open our eyes to see them.